We are live. Steve, hi.
Hi, let's talk about selling furniture on Facebook
We're
real
a
quick.
few minutes we just had a few errands to run here. And
Yeah,
it took us a couple seconds to catch up.
it did.
So thank you for joining.
Yeah,
We are LinkedIn Live today.
we are. Sorry, just coming fresh off of a Facebook Marketplace
What
interaction
did
or
you
two.
sell?
Well, I'm selling a couch, or pardon me, a couch and a kid's bed.
Yeah. And how'd it go?
Some of the craziest people I've ever met.
I stopped selling on Facebook Marketplace a few years ago because I just got these insane messages. People like, they were like crazy stories. People would take a really long time. This
Yeah,
is before Chat GPT did invent stories. Give me like paragraphs of like sob stories of why they couldn't pay for it. And could I hold it until next week? And I would
people love it when you hold it.
forget it.
Can you hold it till tomorrow? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not holding anything. Also made me think,
Or I have to drive from Mississippi
what if LinkedIn had
in my
a
jalopy.
marketplace? Like, why doesn't it? If you
That's an
think about it,
interesting
like
question. Yeah.
Facebook and Upwork, LinkedIn, like why can't I go find Magnetic when I'm looking for services on LinkedIn?
Meanwhile, while you were selling Facebook furniture, I was attacked by a couple of dire wolf pups that were recently sired in the belly of a dog.
Yeah, well, the Siberian tigers. By the way, are you guys familiar with this? Let's touch on this and then get into LinkedIn Live. They are cloning dinosaurs pretty much right now.
It's a 12,000-year-old dire wolf. They took the DNA and mixed it with a gray wolf, I think it was,
That's all.
and then put the egg into the belly of a dog, and it sired 3 puppies that, TBD, I guess are have dire
Are they
wolf
at the Humane
DNA.
Society now for
They are
adoption?
somewhere in Austin.
Oh, okay.
And
All
they're
right.
doing dodo birds and woolly mammoths next.
Oh, yeah, and Siberian tigers. So, in case you were wanting
Because
one of
the
those
world
as a
isn't weird
pet,
enough.
yeah, this is how it ends,
And
by
we're
the
gonna
way.
start selling them on
The
LinkedIn
dinosaurs come back, they're
through
pets, and they
DMs.
take over with the robots, and we're all dead. But until then, you're gonna have to learn how to use LinkedIn to make money,
Great segue.
or sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace. And I think you should choose LinkedIn instead. So here's what we're gonna do today, right? We're gonna
Okay.
talk about a couple of things. Number one, we're gonna talk about profiles that are cringe
Ooh,
and what to
cringe.
do about it.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about DMs.
Uh-huh.
And we say there's 3 times you should be DMing, 3 distinct times, not just
Correct.
one cold DM. So we're gonna
Right.
talk about that.
Mhm.
What else are we gonna talk about?
We are gonna talk about what's kind of working on LinkedIn as we think about the way engagement and how to drive pipeline. What's working
Yeah.
today,
Live
which
events.
yes, event driven,
Yeah.
which is why we're here, why we're live.
So thank you for being here. And if you have questions, pop them up. We're gonna talk about a little bit of a profile makeover. If we have anybody who wants to have us look at their profile, let us know. We're happy to do a suggestion on maybe what that says in your profile in the header, or even look at a DM if you're looking at how do I create a compelling, call it sequence, or even just one message.
So we actually are going to be watching the chat here to see what questions you have. So if you do have questions, or maybe if you want us to analyze your profile, or maybe you've got a DM that you've been waiting to get some feedback on and how we can make it better, we'll be talking a little bit about that. So please feel
Yep.
free to throw it in the chat. We'll take a look at it. We can see it right here,
Yep.
and we'll go from there.
All right. So with that being said, we are going to go to the technical team and see if we can get the presentation up, because we have a presentation deck.
A presentation deck. Thank
Yeah.
you, Steve.
So this is a good deck that's going to give you some visuals. I think we're good to share that out, Caleb, and we'll just go into the presentation mode on that. I think that should be good. And then,
So some of the first things we're going to share is maybe what not to do. So we have a few examples of DMs that kind of miss the mark. And you may or may not know this, but when you go into your messages on LinkedIn, there's a little button there that says focus.
uh-huh.
And if you click on that focus button, you'll see things like other, and there's a few different options there. And what the reason that that's important is if you end up in the other tab, if you end up in a place where, other archived and spam, if you're in the other tab, it's sort of like ending up in the Google spam box. No one's
It's
going to
not
see
good.
it.
Yeah. And
No
you
one's
gotta
gonna see it.
I mean, if you think about the other tab, go over there. There is at least half the messages you're getting are
Totally.
over there. So it's kind of like that.
So if you're sending DMs, we don't want you to end up in that other tab, right? We want you to end up in the focus tab. So how do you do that? And we'll talk a little bit about How to make
Yeah.
sure you stay in good graces.
Let's talk about it. So let's talk about DMs first. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So Caleb, I appreciate that. Looks like we got a nice little screen
Oh, look
here.
at those 2 people. They look happy and fun. They look
Yeah.
like great people to work with.
Yeah. I think, can we go ahead and X out the bottom left there, Caleb? It says, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, all right. So never send a cringe DM again, because we've sent plenty, right?
Yeah.
So we've only learned from making mistakes. So if we look at the next screen or the next slide, pardon me, the real problem with LinkedIn DMs is this, right? So Melissa, I want you to handle the top left one because you got this one about fell out your chair.
Well, I didn't fall out of my chair. I do love that photo though. But here's the infamous, I hope you're doing well. And sometimes I have to admit, sometimes I even find myself defaulting to that because I see it so much. Like
Right.
it's like the ultimate giveaway for a salesperson.
Right.
I hope you're doing well. None of us are doing well if we're honest today. Like nobody is doing well. So just take it out. We're just assume that things are going well. Anyway, but what got me was one, the 3 X's, like
Yeah.
dead giveaway for for an AI tool, Chat GPT or another tool. So like
Yep.
I know he didn't even write it.
Yep.
The X's right there is dead giveaway. The
By the
last
way, I don't like it when people have that in their posts because of the same thing.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. And the last part of that I thought was really like I was like, what even are these letters and numbers this person is talking about? Now I'm a
Right.
business owner, but I don't live in the cybersecurity world. And I'm like, what is 27001.27 SOC2 PCI DSS? Like, what are they talking about? So if you're sending DMs like this, and maybe this is very specific to an IT audience, then make sure you're targeting IT people that speak that language. Because for me, you just wasted time, energy, and you landed in the other box.
Yeah. Not good. Not cool. Let's go to the second one because we
Yeah.
got 4 bad
What you
examples
got
here.
here?
This is the message I get about 42 times a day.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, right? They're coming from a particular region. It's low cost, right? And I would go, so what's different about you? Right? Is it your rate? Is it the lowest cost? Is it your low cost, high quality? Like, number one, who have you worked with? Have you worked with any other companies like me?
Yeah.
If you just send me that, I'm all in, right? At least even if I'm not interested, I'm curious. Like,
Yeah.
oh, cool. That's what my competition's doing. Good to know.
It's sort of like the equivalent of, "Hey, Steve, I sell shoes. Do you want some shoes?"
I don't. I have a pair. I'm wearing them.
"Oh, okay. Thanks."
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, not specific, no proof, no differentiation, just like, "Hey, I do SEO."
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
Not, hey, Steve, I noticed when you were walking down the hall, a little bit to your left, your shoulder was dropping. How long have you had that pair of shoes?
"Oh,
I'm
okay. I was wondering
curious.
where you're going there. I
Well,
like that."
that's the DMs we like, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about that later, the psychology, and that's where your head was like, "What?" But when you ask people those kind of questions, they're kind of like, "Well, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
why are you asking me that question? I'm curious."
Yep.
People call it leaning in, pattern interrupt, whatever. Like, ask them a question they would care to answer.
Yeah.
And that's where that really falls short. And let's go to the third and fourth one now. Melissa, I'll let you handle the third one here on the bottom left grid there, Caleb. So if we scroll down just a little bit. Thank you, sir. All right. I hope
Oh, having a wonderful day.
the smiley face. Do you like it? Do you not?
No, I saw some dire wolf pups today.
And there's a
I'm
calendar.
a little alarmed, if I'm gonna be honest, and there's woolly mammoths
So
coming.
many emojis. Are we saying no to emojis?
I mean, I guess if used, yeah, there's a bunch of them in there. I mean,
Ah.
I think if it's really like a cheeky message and you want to throw it in there, like, hey, but I wouldn't do this is way too many. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like another giveaway for like, I didn't take the time to even write this.
Big
right?
paragraph in the middle too,
Yeah.
right? Jeez.
TLDR, as the kids say.
Well, and also I will call out this. We help businesses like yours. Who?
Sure.
Say who if you
What
do.
kind of business am I? What kind,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's when you're in a very general sequence is we help businesses like yours.
Yep.
If it was we help agencies who do content marketing like this and this, you'd be like, oh wow, okay, I'm gonna read, right? Okay. Next one. I'm missing the proof. I said this one because I like this, but I need some proof, right? You give me the problem, which is 75% of people judge a business by its website. I got it, right? We just redid ours with strategy. Plug for them. They're amazing.
Yep.
Is yours bringing in leads? I'd go, well, I mean, I wish I brought in more, right? So you
Mhm.
got me. I've got some quick, no BS insights. Okay. Well, I don't want to meet with you to learn about your quick, no BS insights because 15 minutes is what everybody's offering me. If the only thing you have to offer me is your time, I'm not interested.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think you have to be really what is helpful is being specific and then making sure you're targeting that specific audience,
Yeah.
right?
Heck
Yeah.
yeah. Even would you recommend, like, if you're going to sequence people, just sequence them like 1 week at a time or 2 weeks, like take a small batch of people and just say, I'm going to start there.
Yeah. I mean, if I were so for instance, there's 1,000 jillion coaches out there,
Yeah.
but if I'm a coach that specializes, I would say like what aspect do I want to specialize in? Maybe it's women with 20 years experience that are kind of in that, you know, transition period of their life. And I say,
Mhm.
I'm an executive coach for women who have 20 executive women who have 20 plus years of experience. They have unique challenges, things like kids and menopause, big transitions in your life. That's where I specialize. I've helped people like you, and I target 20 people that I can tell have 20 years experience, right?
Wow.
That message is going to land. And I don't sound like the bazillion of other executive coaches out there, right?
Yeah.
So it's being specific about your message and
That's great.
specific about your audience that you're targeting.
You had me leaning in. I'm not even a
Ooh,
woman.
you leaned in,
Not
lean
even a
back,
woman. Yeah.
or lean in. I
We were
guess
actually listening
whatever.
to Alia on the way here,
I
weren't
know
we?
we were. I was trying.
Aaliyah.
Timbaland is
Jeez.
that's the secret juice behind Alia. I guess is my.
It's a secret juice behind Magnetic too. It's the producers. Yeah. Let's talk about we'll keep going to the presentation here. Made by Gamma, by the way. So I want to talk about this kind of too. We call like what this presentation was made on Gamma. We made it about an hour and a half, and then maybe less. That's layer 2 content. Like, how do you get someone to click out of your DM into a landing page? This is not the landing page we would use, but it could be, right? If we were trying to get them post event to come like look at this, we're going to put a link in there and we want them to go view this. We could just give them the Gamma page and say, there it is, instead of the replay, right? But we want to give them the replay because we like that as content, not just the presentation. We could include both. Do you want the replay or do you just want to see the presentation?
So maybe let's look at what we have found is working. So
Yeah.
here's some examples of things that maybe we're not working so great. What we've learned over time is when your pitches sound like sales pitches, when they're long TLDR paragraphs of all kinds of stuff, people aren't going to read it. Their inboxes are full of it. We learned that you have to talk like a human. What did you say the magic character limit is, or the magic word limit is 75 words or less? If
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
do a DM.
That's right.
What else have you found to work well in DMs?
Voice notes, we'll talk about that in a
Yeah.
little bit. Videos, those pattern interrupts. We'll keep going because that's the fun part about this. We do talk about what does work a lot more than what doesn't work. So let's keep going. All right.
Okay.
This is fun because this is what we did, right?
Yeah.
We, at least me, I wrote sales copy. You wrote executive copy. Messaging to other executives all the time. I would call it sales copy in a way, right? Because you were always developing business relationships. But in DM, you almost have to dumb it down. Like you almost have to go to your kids and be like, how do you text people? Because people are texting their kids, right? And so
Mhm.
we all are trained to text even with emojis. But DMs are different than text, right? So I'd say DM is if text messages and emails had a baby, that would be a DM.
Yeah, I think that's right. So let's keep moving and to see what works. We've got some good examples here next that shows what are some of the things that work well in the DMs.
All right, next slide, please. All right, actually, no, we don't get there yet. This is what does work. This is the fun part.
Okay, go for it. This is your baby.
Well, it is, but at the same time, it's not because everybody has a P something, right? 4 Ps, 3 Ps. Google has 3 Ps, but it's easy to remember. What problem I solve? In their words and in their view, proof that I can solve it for them, or I've solved it for other people like you, and a promise that I can deliver. And I think if you can do those 3 things in under 75 words, you've nailed 50% of it.
So if I were to use my previous example, if I said executive women in their 40s and 50s face unique challenges.
Yes.
I have worked with over 119 women and
Whoa.
helped them achieve X percentage of increase. Maybe they help them increase their pay. Maybe
Yep.
I helped them transition to a new career.
Yep.
Maybe I, help them walk through the desert. Whatever that thing may be, I can use that as my proof. And the
Yep.
promise is I can do this for you too.
Yes.
Here's an example. Here, you could send them to a link. You
Yep.
could share a story. Want to learn more,
Boom.
right?
And you can do it multiple times because if you DM them 3 times, you can take 3 different approaches on like maybe it's this. And that's what advertisers do if you think about marketing.
Mhm.
They don't have just one ad. It's,
Right.
well, I got to have 2 or 3 different versions of that and see what works best
Yeah.
because everybody's different, right?
So in that example, maybe I take 30 people that are in my ideal customer profile. I have 3 messages and I test with this group of 10, this group of 10, and this group of
Boom.
10 and see which one has the best results.
And then you'll know.
And then you'll know.
All right, let's keep moving here.
Oh, this is where it is. So what we have found, and we started out just doing straight up cold DMs, right?
Oh, my
That's
whole
really where we
life.
spent. Well, that's where you spent a lot.
I
It's worked
know.
well for you
Well, until
until it didn't.
yeah.
And I would say what we have found over the last probably 9 months, especially with our clients, is you've already got a network,
Oh,
right?
man,
Let's
30
leverage the network
39,000
you
people
have.
or whatever.
For those people that we already know, we can kind of in some ways reorganize our network
Yeah.
and reach out, and you can either ask for a recommendation. You can reintroduce yourself as like, hey, by the way, now I'm doing this.
Yeah.
What are you up to? How's business this year? Re-engage your warm audience. So that's one stream I would have going, or we do have going. The second stream is your cold outreach.
Yeah.
That's what we were just talking about. And then the third thing, which is what is working really well right now and why we're doing this event, is the events.
Yeah.
So doing DMs, inviting people to events, inviting them to your podcast, inviting them to your webinar, inviting them to maybe you're going, there's a conference coming up, invite them to dinner at the
Mm.
conference, or hey, can we meet up? We're both going to this adhesives conference. I always go back to the adhesives
You
conference.
love the
It's my
adhesives.
favorite.
I heard a good hack on conferences yesterday, actually on
let's hear it.
LinkedIn,
Yeah.
on a video that came up in my recommended feed. She was great. She was in VC. I don't remember her name. She was a venture capitalist.
Yeah.
And she goes, even me in this money thing, she goes, I don't pay to go to conferences. I go to the city the conference is in and I meet with everybody
That's
outside
smart.
the conference. She goes, because I save $3,000 and I go to 6 conferences a year. And she goes, if I invest that 18K, I can make easily $500,000 in the company if I make the right decision. I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
She's got it down to a science.
And what you can also do, let's say you do. So we've had some customers be really successful with that
Yeah.
conference driven strategy where they send DMs up to the event,
Yeah.
connect. So everybody that comes to their booth, now we have that list. Now
Yeah.
we message them after the event, connect with them,
Happy
send them
event.
a note.
Yeah.
All of that stuff works really well. But thinking also about how do you leverage AI? If you're heading to Nashville, for instance, for a conference, use AI to find everyone you should connect with in Nashville.
Mhm.
Put them in a sequence.
Well, if you're like Larry, one of our clients,
Amazing. So good.
he figures out all the people he connects with before a conference, uses AI to say, what should I use to strike a conversation with them? And what do we have in common? He goes all out. And so then when he meets them,
It's brilliant.
he's going through his little notes and he's like, and he's like all in. I mean, he's pretty much leased his life to ChatGPT, I think. But it's great.
Yeah, that might be a strong statement, but I do think it's really smart how he uses it. So
Yeah.
this is as we think about your LinkedIn DMs. How are you reaching out to your warm connections with people that know you or have connected with you? How are you developing your cold outreach? That might be your, hey, I need to find people in my ICP that I need to connect with. I want to, connect with them in a meaningful way that's specific. And then how do I use events to DM and connect with people?
There you go. That's a good blend.
That is a good blend.
Most people are doing 100% nothing today. So that's a good start.
Or 100% random is probably more like it.
Template, random,
Yeah.
load a list from Zoom Info, go to town, and
just
hope the lottery
whatever.
strikes.
Yep.
I think that's 95%
Probably.
of everybody.
All right, let's keep it cracking.
Depressing.
Crack-a-lacking.
You love this one. This is your slide.
Well, I love it because it shows that live stream is definitely is increasing,
Yeah.
right? And it's kind of where videos were 5 years ago.
Mhm.
So when, videos right now are everywhere.
Yes.
5 years ago, you could get a ton of traction with video. I
That's
mean, you
right.
saw that in your work, right?
Yeah.
Like you did 5 million in sales using video as your
One a day.
So think about that. That's where LinkedIn Live is right now. So if you really want to be taking advantage of something that's on the upswing and, maybe take advantage of the hockey stick a bit, I'd be doing more lives. I'd be doing more events, and I'd be using my DMs to do that.
Think about what you just, the stats are probably there for a reason, right? So an event has pre-event, event, post-event.
Yep.
So it's like there's so many facets to how you could reach to those people, polls, all the things you could do. most people just are very bad at events. I mean, like we're still getting better every time we do one, right?
Mhm.
I think that most of it seems daunting to people and they really need to work with somebody, whether it's an internal or external person,
Show me what
to
works.
be
Show
able
me the
to do a
playbook.
live,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yes, it is. All right. So I think now maybe we get to what's working. Is that where we'll
Yeah.
see. Nope, not yet. Just kidding.
We are. This is a message that works. This is exactly it.
All
So
right.
it works because of this, right? And this is where I think we gave the example. So I'll break this down, Melissa, and then we're gonna get into what's working. Um,
Maybe.
70% of teams I speak with do not have enough pipeline to hit their
I know.
2025 targets. That's a problem.
Am I going backwards?
The proof is Meritus Capital's 2x their revenue from 20 to 40 million. That's a lot of proof. With our content-led system, you will 2x your annual revenue system in under 12 months. Lots of you and yours, not I's. Got to pay attention to that when you write, right? That
Yep.
all hits that. And you could write that all in one message. So just go ahead and look at what you would do and insert yourself there. But on to you. Let's get to the good messages.
All right. Let's see what we've got. Okay. So we showed the one on the left. Harry did a pretty good job here, but here's the thing. It's not a bad message. I put this as a like, it was a decent DM. I get what they're doing. There's a link there. Just reply yes. It's simple, to the point. I get what he's doing, but here's what happened. It ended up in my other message. I
Mm.
saw this message yesterday. It looks like Harry sent it on October 10th or 18th. I don't have my readers on. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
So when you send something that is clearly just like templated out to thousands of people, whether that's in mail or a DM,
Yep.
it's gonna bomb into the spam folder.
Well, a lot of people end up there because they do get marked as blocked, or
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
like there's an algorithm there that says like, how do you get there? I would say for a fact it's not just sending links, because we send links and I see a link there and that's made me think like, was it the link that got them there?
Yeah.
Nope, we send a lot of links that get to the primary.
But I do like that you need to see this. That's kind of it had some
Heck yeah.
urgency to it. The other one I liked because it's very human. It's like, hey, this is someone that actually I connected with. And then they sent me this message back. By the way, I post at 7 a.m. every day. People like you. I hope to see you in the comments, and never hesitate to reach out. And then they have like, I doubt that this is actually me. I don't use VAs or automation. And then I got an automated message after this.
Yeah.
So we know that trick, and it's actually it works really well. It's really good.
Yeah.
So I thought those were both pretty good. Now you've got some better ones here.
Well, I just think, I mean, and this is the fun part is, we run a company together, but we don't agree on everything. Otherwise, this would be a pretty boring company.
Weird. Yeah.
I did
We
not
agree
like
on
that
a
last
lot of
DM
things.
because I said, well, gosh, I get those. And I go, well, I don't know that's automated and I don't really want to, it's all about them and I don't want to follow your stuff. Like, what's in it for me? Selfishly, right? So I think what we've learned is the culmination of all of that is this is a message we would write for a client that we have written. And literally since day one, these guys have been like, wow, this works great.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way with every client. It worked because these guys were hyper involved in the ICP of how the people think, what their fears are.
They had personas developed. They
Yep.
had messaging developed. They knew what was working. They knew exactly who their audience was.
Boom.
Made a huge difference when you can target the specific people that you know that this messaging will hit with. So that was everything. I think just to your previous point, Steve, everybody interprets things differently.
Totally.
What I like and what you like are two different
Yep.
things. So if you get a message back, and this will happen to you when you send messages like, you don't even know what I do. Why did you send me this automated message? Do not stop. That is not a
Yeah.
point to freak out. And I just got a message from someone today, one of our clients. It was like, someone said that they didn't like the way I messaged them, and that it was too much, too fast. And I was like, yeah, but you got like how many other deals?
Yeah.
You're getting business because of it. Don't let one person, because they're having a shitty day, and maybe
Yeah.
like they saw your
They're not
DM
gonna
and
buy
just
anyway.
reacted. Yeah, don't let them dictate how you run your business,
Yeah.
right? So if you're getting a ton of bad feedback, probably time to stop and, take
Yeah.
inventory and maybe rework it. But don't take one. We sometimes take one bad message. We get 10 great ones back, and then we take that one bad message and switch everything. Don't do that.
That's why I think the 3P works is because you're not like coming in super hard or
Yeah.
it is about them enough to make them say like, I'm not interested, not go fuck yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a couple of those too. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I will. Okay.
I will see you in 5
I did
minutes.
yesterday. Don't worry. I did it for myself. Sorry.
Keep it going.
Yeah,
Anyway.
mentally, not physically. All right. Next slide, please. Voice notes. I love voice notes. And as a matter of fact, you've got a cell phone here.
I do.
Is it on?
It is.
Do you want to leave Caleb a voice note?
Uh, I have some calls that are being ignored right now,
I
so I can't.
Totally got what you're saying. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I like this because number one, if you get a voice file on your phone, you usually go, "What is that?" If you've never gotten one before, you're gonna play it. Is this a ticking bomb? No, it's just Steve leaving you a hey.
Yeah.
And there's now software that automates this with AI, by the way, so people can leave a ton of voice notes and automate the name
Sure.
of the person. So you can cheat this system. I do not recommend it. It also is going to boost your response because you get more people who the pattern is interrupted. You're going to build trust, and there's an immense amount of human connection because they hear your voice. Anytime they see you, hear your voice, not just see text, they build more connection with you.
So I'd go into my DMs and I would see where instead of writing a message, over to the right of the message, there's a little microphone.
Yeah, do you want
right?
to show them? Or wait, yeah.
And I hit that microphone,
Yep.
and then I can say something like, well, first I have to enable the microphone access,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I don't have done. So I don't do this often, but let me go back now that I've activated that. And now I can hit the microphone and send a voice note, which is
Yeah.
so different than the typical DMs that you get. And what's been your reaction to the voice note, Steve?
You know, I barely ever get them, and every time I do, I listen to them. I will say, I know you can't really see this, but it's just a little microphone, and I would hit it, and I literally just say, "Hey, Melissa, I'm sitting here recording a podcast with you," and she gets sent the voice note. Now, she would get the alert. I can also see when she's listened to it. That's why I love it. It turns a different color, just like WhatsApp.
Ooh.
So it puts a little check mark next to it when she's listened to it. That's a little hack for you.
So how often and how do you know who to leave a voice note to?
I leave a voice note to people who have been in Magnetic Mail, our software.
Yep.
We use AI sentiment tagging. I've got about 700 people last year who are somewhat interested.
Yeah.
Every day I go through 10 of those. I leave 10 voice notes, or they're easier for me, honestly, because I'm looking at it. I'm on my mobile phone. Okay. Hey, how are you doing? Checking in. I'm looking at this. It sounds like you were waiting for this to happen. Did it happen? Whatever it is, I'm just like looking through notes,
Mm-hmm.
kind of looking through our conversation and summarizing it, and then trying to be something that's relevant. Hey, I know Outbound's flipped even more on its head than the last time we talked. Here's
Yeah.
what's working now. We're seeing live events pick up. Here's a new package. If you're interested, let me know. I'm happy to send something over.
Yeah. I think that's a really smart hack.
Yeah.
The other thing that I received one voice note. I don't get many.
Mhm.
And this is a really good hack too, as you think about your warm audience and how you might create some sequences around your warm audience. Think about where you went to college.
Mm.
Think about what your previous jobs have been, where you've worked. Maybe you
Yep.
worked at AT&T, maybe
Sure.
you worked at Abbott Labs, maybe you worked at Avera,
A little
right?
easy unlock.
You can now pull people that have all worked at that place and said, "Hey, we both used to work at AT&T. Now I'm doing this."
Yeah.
And you've got something in common. You've got a voice note that's unique,
Yeah.
but not so unique that you have to do it one at a time.
Yeah.
So you can use those hacks to think about things that you have in common with people, and that will get you so much further than just like cold, straight up SD1022. We fix this regulation by blah, 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 right?
Hmm.
So those little hacks of where did I go to school? Where have I worked? What professional network associations do I belong to? What other groups or communities do we belong to that's in common? And now I've got something I can work with when I drop a voice note, send a DM, whatever that might be.
Cool.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going. All right. So this is a lot of stuff. I'm just going to say most of this is meant for reading afterwards. Video, obviously, we're here. I just kind of want to walk through. I thought we'd use this time for let's walk through today.
Okay.
Like we decided to do a LinkedIn Live, right? So
Yeah.
that involves booking the LinkedIn Live, right? For us, it involves booking studio time.
Yep.
Producer, assistant producer. You don't need to do all that, right? We're leveling up a little bit more. We got a studio here with great lighting, but you don't need to do all that. But you also then need to make a deck. You need to show up for the event, and then you need to follow up afterwards and give everybody this stuff, right? So it's a lot of stuff to do.
There's a lot to manage there. So in the past, we've done LinkedIn Live. You can do this with a webinar too. So before the webinar, I would send everyone a direct message and
You
I'd say,
do.
hey, I thank you for signing up for the webinar. Is there anything specific you'd like to learn? Anything specific I can help you with? And about 10 to 15% of people respond and
Yeah.
say, like, hey, I just want to learn this, or I don't know, I just was curious, or I want to learn this thing
Yeah.
for my business. Now you've got a direct conversation with people before the thing even starts, right? And you can customize your presentation
Yep.
to those audience. So then you'd host the event, and then after the event, now you get to follow up with everybody that came to your event, which is another brilliant move. You can DM them, you can send them the deck, you can send them video. But yeah, it's a lot of coordination and a lot of steps,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yeah. But it's worth it, right? I think what we're saying is
Definitely.
we've committed ourselves to the process. If we have 5 people on here, 10, 15, whatever it is, it's that many people, a sales call it, right? So it'd be like a month of sales calls. So you really do want to put some time into it. I think collectively we put 4 hours into it, right?
A little more than that, but yeah, so I
Yeah.
think the other thing that you can do is now that you've got an event, you
Yep.
can take that video, break up that video,
Yep.
put that video on YouTube, take up and create small, bite-sized segments of that video and use it as content for LinkedIn. You can use it as content for your DMs,
Mhm.
send a little video link. There's a lot of ways now that you can repackage
Mhm.
that event with the real Q&A from your audience, like real questions like, "Hey, we got this question. Let's answer it." Now you're answering it not only for them, but for everybody in your audience.
The ultimate waterfall would be event to podcast to newsletter to posts. Like all of that could flow, right?
Exactly.
So
And we
like
do that for people, right?
that's what we do. Yeah. And I think more and more we're transitioning into realizing like outbound, call it 2.0, and content in its present form has changed with AI. Like, the $10,000 a month ghostwriter is a thing of the past. Not because there's not immense value there. It's just that they can be more efficient, right? So you can easily create personas, catalog things with AI that in the past you had to really do on a spreadsheet. I think the real value is now figuring all this out and making it work.
So the unlock, if you were to say, profiles, DMs, it
Mhm.
really is being super clear on who your audience is.
Yeah.
And if you're not clear, you're gonna have to do some testing to kind of figure that out, testing on the ICP and the messages.
Yeah.
Once you are clear on who your audience is, now you can create warm sequences. Maybe it's, based on your college or your, work history or your professional associations or where you live. It could be even your geography.
Sure.
You can create those warm sequences. You can still do cold outreach,
Yep.
right? And then also do events. And that
Mhm.
is working really, really well.
Yep. I would say the other thing is don't forget, and this is kind of the old school sales guy in me, like if you have, and most people do, we do have different people in an organization who make a decision. We have CEOs are like 90% of our people, but we have influential people like CMOs and CROs. They should all be getting different sequences because they approach the problem or see the problem differently, right? They're impacted by it differently. And so you have to do that. Otherwise, you are overgeneralizing and you are going to get less results.
Yeah.
And so you really get out of it what you put into it more than ever. And I think a good way is an event, right?
Yeah.
And then you pull people like, what are you struggling with? Like you said, and then you create offers around that. It's brilliant.
So we did say, I don't know if we have any chat or any questions in here, but we did say with the profiles, there's some very simple ways for those that were, maybe haven't done this on their profile.
Hmm.
If you've got just a picture of a tree, or if you've got that sage green background with the little wave in it, the LinkedIn default background,
Yeah.
that is free real estate that you should be changing today. So
Yeah.
if you are out there thinking about like, hey, what can I do to make more people connect with me? How do I build my audience?
Yeah.
That was one of the things I know we said we would chat about. That's the first thing you should do is change the background. Show, either provide the benefit that your offering provides to the customer.
Yeah.
But talk about what you do. That's free real estate.
Hmm.
Use it. And don't just put a picture on there. Although like those are nice, but
Hmm.
you want something that highlights what you do and who you are.
Let's talk about 1 second. I don't know if this is possible. Caleb, are you able to draw up LinkedIn by chance? Or is that too much to ask for? We're good. Okay.
So
We're not
yeah,
going to do that.
Yeah,
But I
so
was just go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was just gonna say the other thing you can do for free is just use ChatGPT,
Yeah.
copy and paste your whole profile and say, "Optimize my profile. Give me a good headline." You
Yeah.
can feed in your resume or feed in some of your history there. Optimize my headline, optimize my about section, and, so that I get maximize my connections, and it will
Mhm.
do that for you, and those free 2 minutes, spruce it up.
Mhm. Well, there's so many things you can do with ChatGPT, and I think the one thing you don't wanna do is write your outbound templated sequence with it.
No, that I would not do.
Yep, I think research, to your point, is amazing, using your profile, how to handle an objection, all those things are really great. Um, Easy little tips there if you're not getting the responses and you need to start to get some. Easy ones are scale of 1 to 5, right? Tell me scale of 1 to 5, are you struggling with this or not? Or um, people like to label things, right? So when you ask them a question, I would just say, like, let them pick a number, let them pick a color, let them pick something instead of like having to answer your message.
Sure.
And I think that really could accelerate things if it's tough for you and you think you've got a good message and you think you know your ICP.
Yeah.
You probably think you do and you probably don't.
A lot of we've struggled with that. I think we've had a couple of clients that were really had invested a lot of time and resources in understanding their personas and their
Yeah.
ICPs, but for the most part, we have spent that is a lot of the work that we do is really pulling data, customizing lists. A great way to do that, a simple hack that we do is we can look at your competitors
Yeah.
and tear down those lists, and that's go after those folks.
Yeah.
So those are some of the little hacks you can do if you're not quite sure what your ICP is and who those people are. Like, who do you
Mhm.
directly compete with, and then who is following their company? What do
Yeah.
those people look like? And that may help inform your ICP.
Talk real quick about the competitor teardown and what that is, because I think a lot of people on LinkedIn would go, "You can do that?"
Why don't you talk about that?
I would
That's your
love to.
specialty.
So pick your top 3 competitors. If you don't know, ask ChatGPT. And then you would go and there's various tools you can use this with. I'm not gonna say what they are right now because it does involve some technicality, and you can go find them if you want to. But you just go and say, "I wanna find all the people who are following Caleb's video company who are my ICP," right? And then it's gonna go find them. And high intent, right? They're following them for a reason. They either did business with them, they thought they were gonna do business with them, or something's there, right? And if
Yeah.
you start there, we call it a competitor teardown. And this is where you could be really a jerk if you want to. You could go right at your competitor and say, "Hey, we heard that this is not going so well over there. Is that true?"
Oh, that's an interesting angle. I would not have even thought about that.
Yeah. "Hey, other people are telling us this. Is this true?"
Yeah, that's ugly. I
It
wouldn't do
is
that.
ugly, but it's certain
It's a
things.
tactic.
Yeah, it's a tactic.
But yeah, I think there's an opportunity there for like, hey, if they followed a competitor, like maybe your services are slightly different, or maybe they've had a timing is everything, right? So just because they were following that person doesn't mean that they did business with them, but they had some interest there.
Yeah.
So maybe timing is right and you hit them at the right time. But if you're, especially if you're starting at zero, what a smart way to start building your list
Yeah.
is looking at competitor teardowns.
And your content. They get to see your content
Yeah,
forever. They're
absolutely.
gonna follow your company probably too. And you might be the answer they were looking for that they didn't get when they followed Susie Toothbrush.
And I do feel I'm a person who's a both and. I believe there's a yes and there's room for everybody. So I follow a lot of our competitors and I learn from them.
Mhm.
And I just feel like, there's people that like me because of whatever reason they like me, and there's people that like them
I
because
like
whatever
you.
reason they like them. And there's room for all of us. And so
Yeah.
I think part of it is the way that you position and message thing. When you create content out there, you will draw people to you, but you have to have an audience. So if you don't have one, go look at what your competitors are doing and start to target them in your outbound sequences.
So you're saying that if you write messaging and you're honest and you're who you are, that you're gonna be magnetic and attract the people who should be your customers and the customers you would love to have.
I'm not saying it magically happens. I think you have to build a list and target people that
Yeah.
you want to attract, that you want to do business with, for
Yeah.
sure. Not everyone's going to love you. We're not for everybody, right? But you will find some people that are in that mix.
Yeah. The last thing I would say is we talk a lot about content. We do get about 80% of our business on content. The other
Yeah.
20% from DMs, right? So Cold outreach, some warm outreach, but definitely DMs is how we get business.
So one of the tricks that I didn't understand, when I started doing this work several years ago, I guess I didn't I wouldn't say I didn't understand it, but I didn't understand the power of it. When you have a targeted list and you start using a tool like magnetic mail, like our tool, and you're connecting with people, it's growing your audience, right? So
Mhm.
you're building your connections slowly over time. 25 a day. If you're doing 25 a day, now those are people that are going to see your content. Not everybody's going to see your content all the time, but if you're putting content out there and you're sequencing your DMs to your ad audience in a smart way, you're knocking on the doors, you're putting up billboards. That's kind of what we call it. The content is the billboard. You're driving down the highway, seeing what's up there, and then you're knocking on their door with the DMs. You're going to grow your audience and increase your visibility and outreach.
Yeah, DMs give you a little bit more control.
Right.
Um, I think we're at time.
We are. That was a
Guys,
lot.
thank you. Sorry we were late. Life is just nuts on the Facebook marketplace right now.
Yeah, and don't try any genome sequencing in your backyard like they are with I forget the name of the company, but I remember that it's in Austin. We don't
Oh,
need woolly mammoths. We actually have them here in South Dakota. I've seen a few.
yeah, if you really wanna get freaked
I've
out,
seen the mammoth pit.
tell them what you're talking about here
Not
so
a
they can
good
go find
idea.
it.
There's a tiny little town on the southwestern tip of South Dakota called Hot Springs.
Yeah.
And there is a mammoth pit, and I don't know how many, like probably several hundred, because like you can walk into it and see they're still doing excavations of these woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers.
Mhm.
So evidently they all got stuck and couldn't get out. Bad day
Bad
for all
day.
those poor mammoths. But they're big. I don't
Yeah.
think it's a good idea.
They're bringing them back.
Not a good idea.
This is like Jurassic Park
It
coming to
is a
life.
little
It's
bit
great.
interesting. So
Well,
about as wild as Facebook Marketplace.
yes, that's a good spot to leave us.
And we're gonna segue out with a Timbaland song.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We
How
don't
about
have
this?
that
If you
queued
guys
up.
need help with the LinkedIn Live, get a hold of us. We can support you. We have a technical team that can do it. We can support your events and fill your funnel. Until next time.
Yeah, we
it's
do
been
have
real.
an offer on the events too. So
what is the
yeah, tell them
offer?
about the offer, Steve.
I'm glad you asked.
Tell them what they're gonna get, Steve.
Well, it is
What do they
called
win?
On Your Funnel. See what I did there?
That was good. Yeah.
Because we have children who all would gladly use that word at any given opportunity on a bad day.
Yeah.
It is called On Your Funnel because what it does is you pay us $5K. We do all of this. We prepare an event. We get 100 attendees. We shoot for 100 attendees.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Promote it.
Promote it. People who make decisions, buy your stuff, not random friends of ours from college who, need some money. It is the real deal. And then we're going to trim down the micro content and write 25 posts and videos for you. It's like next level. It is by far and away the offer. I think a lot of people.
If you need a short-term sprint,
That's it.
because like I will say the strategies we gave earlier, they're long
Yep.
wins,
Long
right?
tails, yep.
It's a long cycle. It's worth it, but you can't do it in a short period of time.
Yeah.
The events do work in a short period of time.
Gotta do
It's
both.
a great way to build up like a little bit of juice while you're growing long-term pipeline.
Amen.
There you go.
All right,
Amen.
guys. Thanks for tuning in. And we are going to go be people and go work just like you guys. So thanks for having us.
Ciao.